go to, why don't you do a roll call?
Oscar,
Yes, ma'am.
Richard,
Yep.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Eric.
Here. Okay, and who is this?
Yes, I'm Kendra Stacy, the city attorney
Okay,
from TWG.
okay, now, before we get started, I had a question from somebody called, and they asked about notifications.
Stand right here.
There's
There's one seat over there. I don't know if there's a seat over there or not.
When we left there, our meeting was scheduled
There's
for
one.
next
Chris, I'm fine.
month. So they asked about notification. Now, I was just reading this. And it says, planning commission has by vote authorized the continuance of the hearing to a later date. Such may be rescheduled. No further public notice need be given when the future date and time are announced at the present meeting, which they were. This is a special meeting, so did you notify people? Who did
Yeah,
you notify?
I put it on Facebook, I put it on the website, and everyone who is subscribed to the website for agenda postings, it's notified via email or text message.
I would just suggest in the future that we take, have a sign-up sheet for people that are present at a public hearing.
You had that.
Oh, you did?
I signed
Well, it
in.
seems like,
I have a visitor log of who was there,
Oh, you
and
did?
they signed.
I signed in, but I wasn't notified.
I wasn't notified.
Ditto.
I wasn't notified.
Me either.
So what, yeah.
so,
No, I'm not on Facebook or any social media, not everybody's on social media.
And it was announced at that meeting that this,
Right. So it was announced at the meeting, and then the steps that he took was under the law, what would be proper for a special meeting.
this meeting was not announced
At the meeting that you just were talking about yesterday,
No.
2 days ago.
2 days ago, you
It
guys
was
didn't
not.
talk about.
No.
So when we,
didn't know
about it.
a
Okay.
motion was made, seconded, and voted on
Right, okay,
that the continuation of this case would be discussed on July 8th.
okay. What he did was under, for a special meeting for this, for the time frame. And I would argue that probably because you're here, there was, word did get out. So notification happened, I mean, so there wouldn't be an argument for the people in this room that you weren't notified. I understand, what in the future, what would be best is if you do know, instead of adjourning the meeting, just calling a recess for when you're gonna pick it up. And then that way,
They did.
notice does not have to happen.
Is this meeting taking
well, I don't see how
place
you
on?
can, how can you do that? Recess and then you,
Say we're gonna recess for, and then say the date and the
oh,
time.
okay.
Yeah,
Well, and we did, I mean, basically, it's just.
This was called after the meeting was all done.
Right, we didn't know we were gonna meet.
okay. I found,
You know what I mean?
yes, so,
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't there either, so. I
Well, I
just
would
know that for special meetings, the steps that he takes, that he did take is what
And none
the,
of the people you represent knew this meeting was gonna take place.
okay. I'm just saying, under the law, that special meetings for special notification, what he did, they have said that that
Okay.
qualifies.
So
as-
Who's-
what if you
who's
all,
they?
you have signed up through the city clerk to receive notification and you did not?
Then I would just make sure that they have the correct information. I don't know what to say about, like, if you were signed up and what happened there, so I can't speak to that, so.
Okay, well, I would just suggest in the future that we notify the people that signed up. That's my input. So we will continue on for the Z-2025-03.
Hold on, this is, yeah, this is for today.
Oh, we have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. And the motion to approve again?
I'll second.
No, okay.
Who's first?
Motion by me and
Oh,
Oscar second to approve the agenda.
There
All
we
in
go.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. There's no minutes to review.
Richard, are you voting on that? Is it gonna be 3-0 or 4-0?
4-0.
Okay. Thank you.
I guess, you know, we had a public hearing, so everybody got to voice their concerns, and so, I'll open up just a real brief public forum if there's something that concerns this meeting, other than, go ahead.
Okay, seems like everybody is concerned about the two properties at the south end being, something being done commercial. Well, that's not my concern. My concern is, once it's rezoned C1, if they change their mind, they can make 10 or 15 lots down there and put 10 or 15 houses. And that's not what C1 was designed for. C1 was for arts and businesses.
Okay, so this is stuff that should have been brought up at the public hearing, so, I mean, we got that. Things I'm concerned with right now is if you have a problem with, we've already covered notification. You know, I think in the future, needs to know, is there anything else that somebody has?
I'm
You don't?
concerned about the
That's why in
empty lot
vacation
and
days
the
off of
house
their calendar on the door
because
there.
I live right next to it, I'm just north of that.
Okay, like I said, those
Yeah.
type
I
of
did hear.
concerns should have been at the,
Yeah.
public hearing, because we won't open that
Well-
public hearing again.
But you also put it off for July 8th, and I thought maybe I would get up then, but now.
No,
there's-
the public
nothing
hearing
happened.
was 2 days ago,
Okay,
and we closed the public hearing.
okay.
I didn't know it was a one and done either, so we're in the same boat. There's public forum.
So-
It's like, yeah,
Oh,
people sign up
that's-
for public forum.
This is a
Huh?
public forum,
Right,
not the
forum.
public hearing.
right.
So they
I'm just saying that we've covered all those items, we should have covered all those. I was opening up the public forum if somebody else had some other concern that didn't, need to be voiced at the public hearing.
I wasn't at last one, so I'm not sure.
Hmm?
Oh, she was,
I thought that they could voice anything in the public forum.
Well,
Yes.
except that I kind of specified what I want. If you wanna open it up, go ahead.
Well, on the
If you
agenda,
got
it
it.
has a public forum, so I did sign up to speak. I will say that we've covered the notification, which I am very disappointed in, that I have signed up and was not. I think that this environment in this room, this is not a public meeting space. This, as we had to all walk through a sign that said authorized admittance only, I feel like that is not an inviting environment, that we have a community room that would be much larger, much more conducive to this, and I would hope that in the future, instead of having public meetings in an authorized personnel space only, that it truly be opened up to the public spaces that are in this building. We have 2 large rooms, and we are all kind of forced in here in what I would say is less than a conducive environment. And I would hope that would be taken into consideration.
Okay.
So I'm signed up as a public too.
Huh?
I'm signed up to speak in public forum.
Oh, you do, okay, well, if you
Yep.
got, I didn't know you had signed up
We
sheet.
have the 2, I think, yeah.
Go ahead.
Joan Harris, 109 West Chippewa, do it appropriately. I have a concern. The planning commission has now had 2 meetings in May and in June where you've had cases where the planning commission has voted to table until their next meeting. And now you've had 2 months in a row where a special meeting is called because there's an urgency for a vote to be taken. Why is there such an urgency when it was stated the applicant made no statement at that meeting that this was not acceptable to them? So I'm very concerned that now we're seeing a new pattern start to be established with the planning commission that for table items, you are our commissioners, that suddenly then a special meeting is called because you have to take a vote that you had said was gonna happen at the next public meeting. So that is very concerning to see this trend happening.
You wanna address it for the city? I mean, it's coming from the city that, or even though I signed paperwork that put it up, but
Yep,
the city came
we
to
talked to
me.
you yesterday and you agreed to do a special meeting and signed it and we sent it out. The trend is, I believe applicants are getting up in front of the planning commission and they know that they're on a time crunch, but they don't want to be rude to the planning commission and get an unfavorable vote from them. So sometimes deals are being made and time is of the essence and things need to get done. The past 2 months, like Joni had said, is the first time that I've seen something tabled and brought back up. That is definitely new. And planning commissions in the past have always taken a vote at the end of the meetings. And that's not happening. I don't know if there's people that just don't wanna make the audience angry, or if they're just really not sure. But, I mean, we've stayed till 10 o'clock, 10:30 before discussing a case. Other than that, sometimes people lose grants, sometimes people lose loans, and they need an answer as soon as possible.
But you still have a process with the planning commission. They have 3 options. They can vote to recommend approval, denial, or to table. So that is not a legitimate reason, when this body has already made a decision that they're gonna table, that is one of 3 legal options that they have.
Okay. And I agree,
It's,
but so is calling a special meeting, like Richard did, and he signed the paperwork for it, authorizing it.
Can I talk about how I feel about that?
If it's part of the public forum, I guess, sure. I would ask
Okay.
Richard.
Yeah, go.
I don't know.
Okay, so, I feel like, okay, so I'm a new member,
Mhm.
and, so there's a lot of these, I'm not gonna say a lot, but there's some things in these that, number one, the applicant is not here. Right? And we have questions about,
And, yeah, that's fair, yeah.
right? And they're not here and they can't answer them, so I feel like we're stuck. We're in a holding place until we can get an answer from the applicant. If they were here, we could move on.
They were here Tuesday.
They weren't here the month before,
We're all here tonight.
so, right,
So,
so
yeah.
I'm no, but I'm speaking about the one before.
And I would just make note of that and then probably move on.
Yep.
For keeping on the agenda.
Len, I cut you off, if you want to continue on your.
Well, that was basically all I had to say is, once it goes to C1, they may change their minds. They could put 10 or 15 houses and rent every one of them. And I don't think Foreman's capable of handling that kind of traffic, you know? And there's drainage concerns. There's no place for any of that water to go except for down Foreman.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
I'm concerned
Oh,
about
good.
the 2 properties that are next to me, because I deal with an Airbnb on the north side of my house, and if that is a C1, made into a C1 to the south of my house, it could be put into something, another business or shop or whatever too. So I'm stuck in the middle of 2 businesses or shops, and I just don't think it's right. I believe that this is a small neighborhood. We love our small neighborhood. We love having neighbors, not just people coming in every quick stitch, to rent out or shop or whatever. And that's why we're there, because it is a small neighborhood and it's quiet. And with all this, if it's C1, that could change completely. And, I just think that, the people that live there, should be able to have the neighborhood that they bought into. And not people that want to develop and make money off of, but, they're not gonna live there, but they wanna make money off of it. And then also, I'm concerned about specials. We didn't get an answer about if we would have to pay some of those specials that new property would have. And we weren't told for sure if we wouldn't have to, pay some of those. And so, I just don't think it's right.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? I'll go ahead and close the public forum then. And we will continue on with that Z-2025-03. And where it was left off was the applicants and Dustin, they recommended approval to us, saying with the condition that no commercial buildings would be built. And so we had a concern that we could put a condition like that on our zoning.
Yes, so I did do some research because he did send, and case law in Kansas is very clear that as long, I'll just read exactly what it says, but that as long as it is, that imposed conditions are in line with the legitimate zoning concerns and procedural requirements of that property and for other properties that have used, that they can be placed, and it would be a zoning requirement that the city could then enforce.
Does that go on the deed?
So the deed, they can do that, but that is a private condition, and so it's not something like covenants on your deed is something that neighbors and citizens privately can bring suit against, but that's not necessarily a zoning violation that the city then could enforce. But the conditions, that is condition that's being recommended is a zoning condition that then the city could also enforce. So if you had both of those are two private enforcement mechanisms. Does that make sense?
They could be, but, yeah, I mean, you could have a new zoning administrator and you could have a
Well,
new
enforcement is
property owner.
different, but it's like any code. It would be like a code, whoever is enforcing it across the board, who is enforcing it is enforcing it.
Okay, so. And they did say that they would, what was it,
Deed restriction.
Deed restriction.
Yes, sir. And I know you guys had talked the other day about changing it to R1A. That paper I handed out to you, it says 0 lot lines have to be platted in groups containing at least 4 contiguous lots, and it has to meet one or more of the following conditions: around a cul-de-sac, there's no cul-de-sac down there, on a local street with R1A zoning on the opposite street frontage, it's R1 on the opposite side, or on a street with multifamily or non-residential zoning on the opposite street frontage. It doesn't meet any of those qualifications to be able to be zoned as R1A.
Because what? Say it again?
Because it doesn't meet the 3 requirements. It doesn't meet one of the 3 requirements. It's the highlighted paper that I handed to you there.
Right.
Down there at the bottom, it says that ZLL must be platted in groups containing at least 4 contiguous lots. Has to be on a cul-de-sac, there has to be ZLL on the opposite side, or it has to be multifamily or non-residential on the opposite side of the street.
For 0 lot.
For 0 lot line, the R1A. That's what you guys had discussed Tuesday night, is you guys have the right, you have the power to recommend a lower intensity district, just like we did with the Eldersley Farms a couple months ago. But R1A clearly states that it can only go in to a certain district if it meets these requirements. and we can't meet those requirements, we would be breaking the zoning code at that point. And then my recommendation is still approval, especially with the attorney saying that we can put conditions on it that say no businesses. And if you want to add another condition of a deed restriction on there,
Which I don't think you can require private citizens to put that, but it's a separate working mechanism.
Right.
That, yes,
you could ask them really nicely as
Yes.
a good sign of faith.
and they can require, I mean, they can.
So it's
they
not
can-
the city requiring it.
Right, you what?
It's
Right.
not the city requiring it.
Correct,
But then we have here, on page 3 of this document, right? Where it says conformance to plans and policies. The future development plan map depicts the subject properties as appropriate for the arts and business, right? The Kechi 2040 comprehensive plan does state new single-family housing should be discouraged or avoided, but does not prohibit such developments.
Right.
Now, why does it say that?
I didn't write it, I wasn't here at the time of creation, but it does state that it should be avoided, but it doesn't, it's not restricted, it's not
I got that,
prohibited.
but
Right,
so with
why,
that,
yeah,
when you're weighing your golden factors, which I'm, like you've gone
Mm-hmm.
through, that would be something that is a factor for you to weigh. And that's kind of, I think, why the city was trying to put everything that it could to give you as much information. But that is just what your guys' city plan, and so you can weigh that how you would like to, cause that is a factor. And so it's not something that you have to, it's not like the law, it's just,
Right.
these are recommendations for you to
just
weigh.
wondered why. Teresa, you know? Why that?
I think, Richard could, I don't know if
Does
you
anybody
remember.
remember?
Remember,
Right here, where it says that, we're talking about, right here, see it says the Kechi 2040 comprehensive plan does state new single-family housing should be discouraged or avoided.
Yes, Chris.
I can speak on that.
Okay.
I was there.
All right,
There was a feeling that, for the Arts and Business District, that there was more of an emphasis to get artisans and businesses in there. So that's the focus, but there's also saying we want people to be able to work, live. They could have their little display shop in front, live behind or above type thing. But there's a dichotomy there that says if you allow a single family residential, if it goes to commercial and then somebody else buys that building and they want to make it a single family residential, you can't prohibit that. So the comment was made in the comprehensive plan that is allowed, it's not what is desired. That is my recollection.
okay.
So, can I speak for just a second?
go ahead.
The other night, she told me that this top piece, where the house overlaps into the other,
yes,
is the one that she's really worried about.
yes.
Okay. But we can't do a zero lot line in there.
No, we can't.
So what else can we do to get where she can do what she wants to do in there without it being commercial?
The only thing that I can think of would be to allow the C1, but put the condition on there that no businesses can be allowed on the
Okay,
property.
so can we do that just for that one?
That I don't know, that would have to be.
I mean, I know she wants it for all of these,
Right,
but that's the one she's trying to sell. And I would rather do it on one than do it on all of them.
And so just so I'm, again, trying to make sure I understand everything, is that it's a big piece of land, well, in that there's 4 different plots that they're going to be
Right.
turned into.
Yeah.
This piece right here is the piece she wants right here.
Right,
But that house comes over on this piece.
and so you have to
So
take
they're gonna-
more than one lot and combine them?
So
Is that
she
what
has
you're
to,
doing?
they would, in the planning
They won't
process,
have
they'd have to
enough
move
room.
that lot line up.
And then they don't have enough room to build. That's what the
Well-
problem is.
yeah, actually, the ones that they were concerned with. I think there probably is enough room on there. These were down, the ones down here. She was gonna develop those to 4
I understand.
small properties, okay. So I don't think you have.
I don't have a problem with trying to do something with one, but with everybody here, she's wanting to do the whole enchilada. And I think if we just give her the one, and then figure out later how to do the others.
Is that,
Can we do that?
so that 205, is that where the guy wants to?
201.
Huh?
201.
201.
201 and 205.
Yeah,
Right.
at 201, 205, the lot line goes down part of the house that's on 205. That lot line does need to be moved to be an official plat, to be within regulations.
Did you calculate
It would
how many
vary,
square feet would be in
it would barely fit, and we can do variances to reduce side yards and things of that nature, but it still does not qualify for R1. The only thing that would fit would be C1.
Well,
Right, and you're
Or
saying
R1
just
is
do
on
that
those,
one.
right.
Just do it for the,
Right.
you're saying we can't do R1A because of the regulations?
Right.
But if you want to put a residence sign, you've got R1 or C1.
They don't want it to be.
They don't want it to be, I'm just saying, it could be R1 or C1 to put a residence sign.
Yes,
Now, whether they have enough room for R1, that's the question. Did you calculate how far that would have to be moved? How many square feet are left?
it would be very similar to the one on the north end of Foreman, that tiny home, and that's not what they want, that's not what the potential buyer wants either. That person is in a wheelchair, they need more room to park their car, driveway, turn around, and back out, things of that nature.
Okay, so there's a lot of other things that C1 allows, besides businesses.
That's
Um,
my.
So if it's vague and you say, the condition you had was, you recommended was what?
No new businesses shall be built upon the property.
Shall we do?
Correct.
Okay, so what about, I don't know, there's a lot of other things here. Group home. So that means they couldn't do a bed and breakfast either, right?
Correct.
Cause she was saying that she might wanna do a bed and breakfast. There's one other,
That wasn't as expressed to me, but no new businesses shall be built on. If they build a house and specifically turn it into a bed and breakfast, they're out of compliance and we would have to get them back into compliance.
the applicant's not here, but I had one other thing I was gonna bring up to him. Is I have, personally, I have C1, and I tried to get a loan for residential on C1, and I had 2 banks. They didn't have any problem with the loan until they found out it was C1. If it's commercial property, they won't give you a loan for residential.
Okay.
So you're gonna have a problem. Just one,
especially because they're going through the military deal to do it.
Yeah.
might be something they might try. So, we really didn't, the other item that we had on the agenda last time, I was kind of asking you and Krista to come up with stuff to add to those 9 items.
If
That's
it's not
what
on the
we-
agenda for tonight, we can't discuss it.
I'm not discussing, I'm discussing this one.
Okay, is it on the agenda? I just don't have an agenda in front of me, because you said
I'm
last night's
discussing
agenda.
what we're talking about today.
Okay. Okay, I just wanna make sure.
Our decision tonight is based upon those 9 items, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
If you go to page 121 on zoning regulations,
121,
That's where they come from, those contacts. That's what you base your decision on. And Dustin was, provided his recommendation. He put down what he thought the answers to those were. And what I'm asking, we'll go through these, and if you
121.
disagree, 121, page 121.
He said he's been on the other side of one and C1. And several people got on the planning commission that way. And it wasn't just, well, maybe not long, but they learned that, you know, people, commissioners, and city council, mayor, whoever.
Those are the 9 items.
This
Right here?
person
Yeah.
who went through the
Okay.
process was thought more.
So, yeah, that's what we base our
You
decision
know,
on.
what could be a valuable number of the things.
These
you
are
know,
right.
that had.
It's exactly the same as what Dustin had.
Right, okay.
And to now, it's just like.
So I'm gonna go through
Oh,
these
I know,
one by
I know.
one.
I
Character
know this
of the
person.
immediate neighborhood.
I think that they would do whatever it goes.
Dustin said the properties to the north, east, and east are zoned R1 and developed with single-family homes to the south. And east property is zoned I1 and undeveloped. West of the property is zoned C1 and used commercial. Okay, so do you have anything you wanna add to that?
Richard's a sharp guy.
Okay, I don't see any things. The number 2, consistency with the comprehensive plan, vision, and character of the city of Kechi. Dustin said to the question, rezoning is in conformance with Kechi's 2040 comprehensive plan as discussed in the staff report.
And I thought that conversation we had regarding this was on this,
You do this on every,
on the
zone
76.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that conversation we had was on the 76 acres.
we have that was another zoning request.
Did it all.
I know.
And we had to go through these items.
Right,
These items here have to do with this zoning case.
sure,
Okay.
on every single one. Right, every single case we have to go
Right.
through.
Yes.
We go through that
Yeah,
list.
well, I understand that.
Okay. Well, last time, you guys adopted the findings of Dustin and then disapproved it.
Right, that was for the 76 acres, not this case.
That's what I'm saying, but you can't adopt his findings. That's all I'm saying, is you need to come up with some, something to add to this if you're gonna disapprove.
So, okay, so the Supreme Court said that in order for the way that the planning commission works is that each one of these items has to be articulated. So each of you have to give your opinion. It doesn't have to be what his is, it's whatever yours is. And so if you disagree with it, that's fine. But if you are going to say vote no, then your
Yes.
opinion probably should be different, because if you say yes to everything, then you haven't articulated why you're making your decision. So each of you need to say your opinion on each of these, and if you disagree with what he wrote, then you need to just say why you disagreed with it, so that way it's in the minutes, and it's understood, your thinking and your reasoning, and so on.
And I gave my opinion of number 3.
So we need to go
We're
through
going-
each,
we're
we have to
on
go through
number 2 right
every
now.
one right now, and I think that's what we're doing,
Yeah.
right, is putting it on the
We're
record,
on
right?
number 2.
But it wasn't on this case.
But, right, you do this for every single case, so we're now starting over, and
Oh,
for
we have to
this,
start over?
Yes.
On this case?
you have to do it, every person has to do it for every case.
We have to do this for every case.
Oh, and you're saying that we didn't do it yesterday?
You
Or-
tabled
All I'm
it.
saying, yes, we did not,
Oh,
and
So
I'm
we're
trying
at that
to,
point
this is a
now.
learning,
okay, I was
Learning
conf-
for you.
Oh, okay, all right.
okay. So number 2, consistency with the comprehensive plan. Now, you had one comment there. Did you have one comment, you were saying that it didn't agree with the comprehensive plan? I'm asking you a question. Didn't you have something that you, that?
I just pointed it out.
Yeah, so what is it? So, does it disagree with the comprehensive plan?
It says that it does.
Okay, then we'll say it on.
Says that it does, well, what it says is that it says that does state that new single-family housing should be discouraged or avoided, but does not prohibit such developments.
So you get to decide, and you just get to put on the record, like, what your thoughts are. So this is like when I was saying you weigh something, if you think, yeah, I think that's very important, you can say, yeah, I feel like this is something out, or you can say, well, it does give permission, and so I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's completely your feelings on it.
Oh.
It's not a right or wrong,
Yeah.
or,
Okay, so yeah, I'm kinda like thinking that if they, definitely if they divide those up, that the lots up, and they put 10 houses down there. I believe like what some of the comments were, that does not go by the, comprehensive plan. I think it will cause more problems than what we have currently done there.
Okay, Eric, you got it.
So, just to clarify, we don't know how many lots are gonna be there, but if we're doing it as a C1, we're allowing the potential of that many lots. Is that correct?
Well,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, they can replat any way they want. Yeah, they can replat that, we're changing it to C1, so, but we're, with the restriction, technically, they're not supposed to build any business. Okay. But they can replat that.
I mean, I believe what Dustin has in here is correct, so that would be my opinion.
Oscar, you have any problems with it?
No, I just have one question.
Yeah.
Why can't we just do the one lot that she wants and leave the other ones alone?
Well,
I
she's not,
don't know if it
she's
matters,
not
but I
here
think
right now.
she's talking about
I think the
201 and
other
205. Does that
the
change?
other-
Does that change your opinion
That's
at all?
fine.
The other.
These two lots here to
Yes.
fix the problem.
No, it's the bottom.
No?
No.
No, he's right.
Oh, it's
It-
the top.
It's
Either one
the
is
top
sorry.
two lots. I don't have a problem with helping them fix the top two lots. I have the problem with the ones at the bottom, where they can go in there and do whatever it is they wanna do.
Okay. Is that possible that they can approve certain lots? Because they applied for all the lots.
or do we need to, redo the application?
That I don't know.
I need to, let me get on my phone and let me do it
I
quick.
mean, that
This
would
is a-
solve a lot of these problems,
Oh, it would.
cause we'll just clean these two up and
Yep.
then do something different down there.
And just bringing up, and I only know it's because my father lives with me who's wheelchair bound, and so does that change their need if it's accessible housing? And that's what they're trying to do with the two lots, is my
I
understanding.
have no earthly idea,
Right,
I'm
that's
just,
what that's exactly what.
I'm just saying.
And
But
so-
but the rest of them.
But I don't know if what he's saying, if you need all of it or not, I don't
No,
know.
they don't need all of it, they just, these two lots are the catch-22.
Mhm.
Let's clean these two lots up with whatever we gotta do,
Mhm.
and then they can come back and do something different later.
I'm gonna do some quick research. I'm gonna research that real
No,
quick.
you're good.
Let's go through the, let's continue on, we'll see.
Yeah.
what we got. Okay, number 3, added pursuit of public utilities, roadways, and other lead public services relative to anticipated impact of proposed use.
Because the attorney
doesn't. Basically, there was a lot of comments about, whether
you're going to this meeting
Foreman, is it Foreman?
Yes.
Is adequate for putting,
I haven't been trained.
you know, a lot of
Like all
stuff.
them people.
Other than that, the public utilities are there. Dustin has, staff do not anticipate any significant increase in public utilities. He's maybe about them. I think about the, water, sewer, that and so forth. Road.
Yeah, right here.
Or-
Yeah, just right here on the page, that's what.
No, yeah, that's what Dustin put down. concerns that things like that. We need to look at.
My concern is definitely, the roadway. I'm not an expert in if it's adequate or not for additional traffic. I'm not concerned for the public, water and sewer, since those utilities.
So the road stops right here. Then they're gonna have
Yeah.
to rebuild all this.
Yeah, there is no,
And they don't
currently,
even
there's
know
no
that
road
they're,
yet.
that it's gonna be that way. That's why I'm simply saying, we X this down here at the bottom and just worry about these two lots here.
Sure, then we need to stop and wait, cause mine,
We're going through these just
We're
to
gonna
see.
go, no, I understand.
Yeah, I'm just
saying
thinking-
But,
if
so I.
we're doing the whole
Right,
thing,
if
that
we're
is
doing the
my
whole
concern.
thing, then the roads, nobody even knows.
That's
Well, the
what,
existing road, right? 'Cause
The existing road
portion-
stops
It
right here at the
stops.
top.
Correct, but even
So
that is
just
in
that
bad
road there's
shape.
dirt.
Right.
Yes, it is.
It's a
okay.
dirt road.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Anything
that's-
And isn't there somewhere in there where it says you can't have a dirt road? Isn't there something like that? It has to be dustless surface or something?
So he's got the roadway. Cheryl, you got anything else? Roadway is main thing. Did you read? Okay. We'll do that. Number 4, suitability of the uses to which the property has been restricted under its existing zone. Yeah. Dustin's got, the subject sites are currently zoned R1 single family residential district, which is, has minimum lot size, too big for the owner's plans. Of course, he's talking about the ones down below, primarily, and that one, I don't know, what's the requirement for R1? Lot size,
9,000 square feet.
9,000? So do you have anything to add to that?
No, I don't.
Sure.
Nope.
After. Length of time property to remain vacant as zoned. One property was developed in 1900 and the other are vacant.
Nothing to add to that.
6, compatibility of the proposed district classification with nearby properties. So it's kind of reworded, extent to which removal of restrictions will detrimental but nearby properties. He has staff does not anticipate that approval of the request will have significant negative impact on the surrounding properties. So this one we need to add some things. What, start there.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't fit the current characteristics of that neighborhood.
I think it's,
At least then
there
you can
could
see
be some
what everybody was
traffic.
at this meeting if you look underneath the board.
Anything else?
Oh, also with the, causing, specials or any kind of, specials or something for the neighbors.
Is that something that you could help us
I
with?
could, and I can answer that. So
Okay.
specials will only run to the properties, that they are, that they impact. So,
Oh, good, okay.
so if, unless you're like, I need all new pipes and I want, new specials, then you can get
Mhm.
your improvements, but they only impact the property that's actually improved by them.
Okay.
So,
But that road is a dirt road.
well,
True.
So if they go in and pave that.
that's not usually, then it would touch that if they, but
And
they
if
have,
there's no cur or.
they have to agree, every homeowner has to agree to
What
it,
part
like,
of it is dirt?
you don't just,
I thought that was.
just so like, the homeowner has to agree, all the homeowners have to
Paved to
agree.
the end and then it's grass because there's no.
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
in the
69th
road.
Street, yeah, that angle.
It's paved.
The current road,
So yes, every homeowner has to agree, you have to get to assess new specials. Like, so if you are paving and it touches the properties, if, all the 100% of homeowners don't agree, you don't, like, then you won't have to get permit. Or if the city then would have to come up with different financing or the neighborhood itself.
That's okay for, no,
the homeowner.
not well.
And as far as best of my knowledge, because this is an advisory council, that you can say, we approve this part and we reject this, this is what we recommend, because it is a recommendation, you guys are advising, the governing body. And so you can advise and say, this is what we would advise, that we are approving this and denying this.
Okay. All right, anything else? Detrimental effect the property? Anything to add? Conformance, number 7, conformance to the requested change to the adopted or recommended comprehensive plan and policy. That is same as the one. The requested zone change is in conformance to the special restaurant. You have anything to add to that? Cheryl? Okay. Impact of the proposed development on community facilities. And the staff has not put negative impacts on the community facilities. We don't have any input on that.
there's no community facilities, correct? Sewer, water,
Yeah.
gas.
Public input, yes, what we got? Pretty much all negative. So, and you have all that down, pretty much in the notes. Anything else you wanna bring up here or talk about? I kinda like Oscar's suggestion.
Yep.
Proving them too with the restriction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. I mean, I don't know how to legally say it, but yes, that was the idea. No, I don't.
Thank you.
But now, so I have one more question. Why couldn't we just give them a variance or something on that one? And they could build the house and sell it and do the whole thing?
The original application was for a zone change. And I understand a variance would solve everything, but, one of the main things, their driving force of wanting to go C1 is they wanted to stay consistent with the properties that they had north of this young lady over here. Okay, yeah, I don't know if that's
I'm
answering
just
your
saying-
question or not.
No,
Okay.
it's not a question. It's, if they want a variance, we can give them a variance on that one piece of property so they can sell it
Right,
and get their money, and then they can come back later and worry about the rest of it. That's what she told me. It's all about the top piece.
right, that is their
Getting
main
that guy
concern, is that those top two.
And, and then make the rest of it go away, because I don't feel comfortable with putting any kind of commercial back
Right,
there. I don't.
no, and that's, yeah,
And if that's the only way to make it fit,
It's
To me,
not.
there's gotta, do what?
It's not. It's not.
No, say
No.
what you're gonna say.
No.
Yeah, I wanna hear it.
Okay, well, if you're asking me, it's not the only way, and in my interpretation in my experience, it's not the appropriate way that this should be handled. The last zoning district listed in your regulations is called a protective district overlay. Specifically stated in there, it says you can limit uses, you can change setbacks, you can change lot coverage. Variances should be something that are granted very minimally, and not just because I wanna do this, please allow me to do it. It's, creating your own problem, and I'm sorry I didn't put my zoning hat back on 2 nights ago quickly enough, and I said deed restriction. But if you wanna do this by zoning, my humble opinion is that it should be done by protective overlay, and zoning regulations say that has to be filed at the same time as the zoning change. So if you're gonna follow the regulations, they're gonna get pushed back. Again, I never heard anything that there was some urgency here, but there's a special meeting on it, so maybe I don't know. But really, in my estimation, the protective district overlay is the absolute right and correct tool prescribed in these regulations to address this situation. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else you want to discuss on that? So you were saying you don't know how to word that so on that,
Man, I think we need to tell them if they want to do them too. Do the protective overlay, like Chris said,
oh,
then we'll do it.
no, the ones down there. I think he's mainly referring to.
Leave those alone.
Overlay.
Yeah, leave those
With
alone.
those, yeah, those,
I don't know how we got cleaned that up.
well, that. Okay. Would you bring up, we had a couple of weeks, would you bring up the concern with the funding, that they may have problems with funding for C1? Just to have them check it. I mean, they got a couple of weeks before the city.
So if you are not feeling comfortable to approve all that, you can deny and say this is why.
I just would like to know what can they do right here on those 2 lots would be the best for the city? How to do those 2 lots to make those 2 lots.
Right, and so if that's the thing, then you should deny their application. And then that's your recommendation, is because you feel like they didn't do it correctly. Instead of tabling it and figuring it out for them, denying what's on the table in
And
front
then
of them.
let them
Yeah, it's their
figure that out with-
issue,
with Dustin.
because you guys are the recommendation, so what you can say is, how it was presented to us, we do not feel is in the best for the city, and move on. And then
Right.
it's, have it come back to us, yeah, so it's not necessarily in this setting that you would figure it out for them.
So they can't just pick and choose what to approve and what to do.
Well, you can recommend, because that's the thing, is that you guys are a advisory board. So what you're saying is, we are advising that what's in front of us we don't like, and this is why we want to be able to work and do this, but what's in front of us doesn't do that. So you can, that's how I would recommend doing it, is because just, instead of continually tabling it, just saying the application as in front of us is not what we want because of this, and then have a motion. Because you've gone through the factors, you've done everything that you're supposed to do, and there's a reason that you're not feeling comfortable, and that's okay. Yes.
So I so move what she just said.
Nice.
Well, what is that?
I'm not 100% sure, but I like what she said.
Well, let's see
Oscar
if we
feels
can get it.
uncomfortable. That's what it is.
Yes, I don't like
Eric, do you have-
I would
mind
say
helping
then
them here. I
that
don't
you
want help.
deny it
Yeah, you got number
because
three.
you're not
Number 3.
comfortable with doing the whole,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Deny.
Yep.
Okay. So, your motion number 3?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Second?
I second.
Okay. There's a motion to, adopt the findings, adopt the findings
It's what it's supposed to say,
recommendation
Richard.
state.
It's what it's supposed to say.
Okay.
It is.
In the zoning administrator's report for case Z 2025-03 and forward recommendation, denial to the governing body regarding the requested rezoning to C1 art business. Any discussion? Eric?
No.
No?
I'm sorry, what,
You're,
a discussion or a vote?
no, I'm sorry. No.
Okay, I don't have any additional discussion. No.
Okay.
Yes, I agree.
I agree.
With the motion.
Well, I made it, of course I agree with that.
Well, we've had that.
Yeah, we already did.
I'll let her make it, I just agree.
And, yeah, I agree too. 4-0.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay. We have a motion to adjourn.
I so love.
I second. I
Okay.
third.
We're adjourned.